Hello, everyone. This is Angela Brown, Project Lead with the Youth CareerConnect Technical Assistance contract. Welcome, everyone, to today's webinar, Keys to Sustainability, Keeping Participants Engaged with Free and Flexible Resources for Workforce Development. We're really excited to have you all here with us today. And just a couple reminders before we get started. We do use the chat, so please feel free if you have questions throughout the presentation to type those into the chat function, and we will answer those as we're able to throughout the presentation. You don't have to wait till the end. Also, we'll be sharing, I didn't post the slides yet for this presentation, but we will be sharing them afterwards on the Community of Practice. So I will post those afterwards, and we'll send out the link for everyone. Also, just as a quick reminder, at the end of the webinar, when you close out of here, you'll get another tab or another window that will pop open that will have a survey in it. And we request that you please fill that out. We do take all of your feedback into consideration as we're planning TA and different events and products. So please fill that out. That helps us know that we're helping you and giving you the tools and resources that you need to be successful. So please fill those out. It only takes a few moments, and we'll email you a second time if you don't do it when the webinar ends. So please make sure you fill that out. So on that note, we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to turn it over to Evan Burke. He is here at the Department of Labor with the Division of Strategic Investment. He has worked on the project we're about to talk about much more and been involved in that, and he's going to tell you about it. So I'm going to turn it over to Evan so he can share with you about TAACCCT and the Division of Strategic Investment and what we're going to talk about today. So Evan?
Thank you, Angela. So welcome, YCC grantees. We are delighted to have you join us today. So as Angela said, I am Evan Burke from the Department of Labor's Division of Strategic Investments, part of the Employment and Training Administration. Next slide, please. Thank you. So our presenter today was involved with a U.S. Department of Labor grant called the Trade Adjustment Assistance Community College and Career Training Grant Program, which I know is a mouthful to say, so we call it TAACCCT for short. I know several of you were also involved with the TAACCCT program, but for those of you who were not so familiar with TAACCCT, I'll give you a short overview. So TAACCCT was a nearly $2 billion 7-year grant that just wrapped up in September 2018. TAACCCT provided funds to community colleges to support changes that would make it easier for adult learners to earn industry-recognized credentials and improve their job prospects. While TAACCCT was only authorized for these 7 years, the impact is expected to last much longer, in part because of the Department of Labor's partnership with California State University, which you will hear about in a moment. The 700 TAACCCT-funded colleges, which was about 62% of all of the nation's community colleges, developed over 2,600 new or revised programs of study in partnership with over 2,500 employers, and serving about 500,000 students across the nation. So although the TAACCCT program is ending, the question is, how can you benefit from this investment? Well, all the TAACCCT grantees were required to openly license and share the materials they developed under the program, including curricula and program materials and many other kinds of resources, on a website called skillscommons.org. Skills Commons was built through a cooperative agreement between the U.S. Department of Labor and California State University. California State University will be continuing the site after the TAACCCT program ends, starting in January. Even though the TAACCCT grants are wrapping up, you and others can benefit from what grantees learned and built right now. So I am happy to welcome Dr. Jerry Hanley, Director of Skills Commons at California State University. On to you, Jerry.
Thank you, Evan. Greatly appreciate the opportunity to talk today, and Angela too as well. It's always great for us to be able to share some of the resources that we have available for educators literally around the world. So today what I'd like to do is share with you some of the resources that are available. And when you hear from Evan that there was a $1.9 billion investment, for developing curriculum that could enable students and teachers to be more effective in developing the skills and knowledge of our students to be prepared more successfully for the workforce. One of the questions you'd say is, well, would you like free access to all this investment that would enable you to sustain your programs in supporting your youth? And would you like it right now? And hopefully, even though you're on mute, hopefully you're going to say, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, right? And so I have I'm very lucky. The job I have is to give a gift and not a burden. That is, how can we in Skills Commons produce some resources that you can, in a sense, go shopping for what you have, and instead of paying with your funds, that you can just go and acquire it and integrate it into your own programs to immediately support your own workforce development programs. So, as a metaphor, you can think we are a public library, and in fact, you don't even need a library card to take anything out. You just have to go onto the website and explore what's on the digital shelves, and then you can download these materials for you to use and customize for your use. So that's kind of the idea of what the Department of Labor asked us to do with the 700 community colleges that produced all these resources, and to aggregate them all together so that you can reuse them, also revise them. You can store them yourself, retain them on your own computers. You can remix them and distribute them to your colleagues and to your students, to the parents, to your staff, for them to use for free. So the first step, what I'm going to talk a little bit about, is what actually are these open educational resources, and what I have here is a little compilation of some screenshots of online modules of materials that, if you want to understand physics and springs, or if you want to know about blood pressure, or if you want to know about the bottom one there about thermodynamic equilibrium, there's often these online interactive modules that are freely available, that animate the process, that include videos of actually how people do things, that fundamentally become educational resources that are freely available for you to use. So they can be kind of module simulations, animations, tutorials that you can blend into your own instructional process. They also can be entire courses. OpenCourseWare is the term, and you might have heard about MIT's OpenCourseWare project that's been around for 15 years. And so this is where you can get the syllabus, your lecture notes, assignments, projects, and again, the library for instructional materials that are freely available for you to use. So you have full courses. You also might have heard of MOOCs, or massively open online courses. That is really about open enrollment. These materials often are not content that you can download for your own purposes, but you can enroll in these courses and move through a curriculum and often get certificates of completion that often involve some interactivity, some adaptive learning tools, etc., like that. But there's a lot of these type of freely available curriculum that you can use. There's also free textbooks that are available that have been peer-reviewed. They actually, in a sense, have the same integrity of publisher textbooks. It's OpenStax is the organization that's funded with grant funds and also partnerships, and there's a full range of these open textbooks. And so hopefully I'm just giving you a sense of when I said, would you like to go to a public library for instructional materials, what are the types of materials you can find? Again, you can find books, but you can also get all the full courses or modules of courses. You can go and explore these other massively open online courses, and all these cases are all different types of ways that today that open educational resources that are free of cost, that you have the permission to use them, and then you can choose how to learn with these resources because you're able to incorporate them into your own context. And so there's a whole range of different types of openness, and all these open the doors for all to learn. Whether, and particularly I'd say for in my day job at the California State University system, when you find 85% of our students on some of our campuses require financial aid in order to attend college, when we find 40% are food insecure, that is, they go hungry at some days while they're in school, and 11% are homeless at some point during the year, that the financial need for them surviving through the educational process, and when you think about the cost of textbooks, they really can cause our students to drop out, stop out, and not be successful. So free educational content really becomes a really significant strategy for student success. And so these materials that we have available, and we've organized them so they hopefully they'll be easy for you to find. These materials are also have the permission for you to use it. You can say they're free, but who owns these materials? Well, all the materials that I'm going to show you today that have been produced through the TAACCCT program have what's called a Creative Commons license. And that little CC with a circle around it is just a brand that lets you know that you are able to use these materials without breaking the law, that you can revise them, remix them, use them, retain them, store them for your own use, because that the authors created that license that gives you permission to use. And you can say, well, how do I ever know excuse me, that I have materials excuse me, that have a Creative Commons license on it? You'll see these little kind of, think of these as logos that communicate to you what's the type of license that you have. And if you looked at the first page, and I'm going to go real quick back to the very first page, you'll see that this whole PowerPoint also has the Creative Commons license on it. So this is free for you to use and for you to download and use it as you wish. And when you create new things of it, you'll also have a Creative Commons license on your new products. So hopefully my goal here was just to give you a sense of what are the types of materials that you'll find on the public website of Skills Commons. And so I'll just talk a little bit about what the public library is here. This focuses on workforce development resources. It was produced by 700 community colleges, as Evan had mentioned earlier, and again, freely available for you to use. And what we're going to do in just a second is I'm going to demonstrate how you can use Skills Commons. This is what the home page of Skills Commons look like, and next we'll take a tour. So at this point, I'm now going to share my screen, and okay, just wait a second to make sure we have everything up, and maybe Angela or Evan, can you just make sure that everyone's seeing the Skills Commons website?
Yep, I'm seeing it.
Okay, great. So what I'm going to show you here is excuse me, um, simple demonstration of how you can use Skills Commons to find resources that you can incorporate into your own programs. So there's a search box here, and I'll show you how that works. But what I want to do is first give you a little sense of what type of materials are in the content. So I'm just scroll down a little bit, and we've created kind of a visualization of the type of materials that you have here. So I've just clicked on the button that says Explore, and now as you roll over your cursor over this thing, over this industry, we call it our industry wheel, you can say, oh, here's materials in manufacturing. And if you notice, there's something called the NAICS codes. These are all the industry standards for naming all the different types of workforce development industry sectors, right? So this is manufacturing and fabricated metal product manufacturing. So in other words, this is about often it can be about welding, it can be about manufacturing metal of all different types, looking at motor controls. And so I'm just going to go back just to give you a sense of how else this works, what else is in here. So we have healthcare. And if you want to know about healthcare in hospitals, again, you can just click on, you roll your cursor over to the little black box, and now here we have information about certified nursing or computed tomography, okay? So we have those type of materials. And you can see on the, think of this as like your Google hit list of materials that you can find around healthcare and hospitals. And also on the left side here, there are presentations, assignments. There are syllabi you might be looking at. Well, I just want to look at what are the courses that might be in here. You can just click on this the syllabus little tag there, and here you can start getting assessments of, what would be a syllabus for a psychiatric technician, or what might be a syllabus for, as I'm reading through here, human disease and organize the fundamental knowledge related to this. So here's a syllabus for that, or pharmacology syllabus. So you can find information of, depending upon the types of resources that you're looking for. Okay, and let me just go back just to make sure you understand the other type of materials that we have available. So we talked about healthcare. We have professional services. We have information technology, and you may want to look at data processing and hosting, educational services, others, mining, quarrying. So again, think of this as a quick view of what's available in the whole collection. All right. So hopefully that was helpful, and certainly if you have information, questions that you might have, feel free to put them in the chat so that we can certainly answer some of these questions that you might have as we're moving along. So that's the just again showing you what's available here. And let's say you do want to know something about nursing, for example. So I'm just showing you now, here's a search box. You can ask specifically particular areas that you may want. And again, I might be looking for what are some excuse me, courses that might be available in nursing. So you might have something, transitions to nursing practices, all right? And so let me just pull this one up. And so now I've clicked in, and now I've kind of gone to the bookshelf, the digital bookshelf on the transitions to nursing practice. And you can see here I have a zip file of a number of materials, 16 megabytes, so you can download this. Here's the syllabus, and you can say, oh, let me just check out what is this course about. So I've just clicked on that file right there, and it's downloaded it right here, and I can now click on that file, and it will open up as a Word document. And let me just move it over so you can all see it. So here's a syllabus about the nursing, transition to nursing, and I now can edit this. It is now available. You can plug in your name, information. Here's the learning outcomes that's already available. Here's some information. Here's some resources that have been made available to you free, and now you can begin to customize these resources for yourself. So hopefully I'm giving you a sense of materials that you can find in Skills Commons. One of the things that's also that occurred within the TAACCCT program, you had subject matter experts evaluating these materials, because you can say, is this course any good? And so here's an example of this course that was produced by a Tennessee grant. It was evaluated by an expert in the field. She's currently serving as a nursing instructor, so you can see this other stuff here. And so here is some of the assurance that you can have about, is this material of good quality and evaluated by your subject matter expert. So we have the curriculum, and we also have ways that you can evaluate these materials to see if they're good quality, and then you can evaluate whether it's right for you. Okay, so that's hopefully you get a sense of some of the materials that are available in Skills Commons. You can go play around with this. We also have, just so you know, some advanced search activities. So if you want something, if you're looking for things that have the standard occupational classifications, looking for materials that might be just for transportation, storage, and distribution managers. Okay, so by clicking on that SOC code, you can then do a search, submit that, and you can just focus on those materials that are very specific for those occupational codes. So here's some presentation and support materials for that. Okay. All right. And what I'm going to do is just show you a few more things that are available, and then what I'll do, Angela, I'll go back to the PowerPoint and then open it up for questions. Now, one of the other things that we've done as a library, we have, I think, as of the end of September, we have close to 16,000 materials. We've also organized the materials so they might be a little bit easier for you to find what you might need. And in the area of manufacturing, we have worked with the Ohio Manufacturing Association to help organize materials that are directly related to manufacturing here. And so, for example, if you're looking for materials in instructional maintenance, we've kind of made this a little bit more visual. So you say, oh, I want stuff in instructional maintenance. And so by clicking on that button, you go right to all the materials in manufacturing related to instructional maintenance. And then again, if I can then decide, oh, what am I looking for? Oh, I'm looking for tutorials. I could just click on tutorials, and now we have a whole set of tutorials. It looks like Mesa Community College has produced a number of these tutorials related to instructional maintenance. Okay. Let me go back a little bit more here. The other aspect, it's not only industry sector areas, but we also have other foundational skills that are important in supporting your students' soft skills curriculum. So here's some support materials, a faculty soft skills manual, a presentation here, a course on time management. Again, hopefully I'm giving you a sense that when you're looking at how do you sustain your YCC programs, that curriculum to support your faculty in thinking of what's out there, what else that they need, that you have these freely available in a public library. In some of your programs, I'm now just going to pop up to something else. Many times you want to bring industry experts into your programs where they have their subject matter expertise and that experience. But one of the challenges that happen sometimes is those industry experts may not have all the skills to be a good instructor. And so what we've put together for freely available for you is a set of simple, free online courses that your industry experts could take on their own in a very, I'll call it a light way, that can help give them some of the basic knowledge that to help them be an effective instructor. So this is called Jumpstart Successful Instruction. Our abbreviation is Industry Expert to Expert Instructor, IE to EI. And so, for example, these are all courses. When someone now becomes a teacher, you can say, how would I write? Oh, I have to write a syllabus. Well, what is an effective syllabus? And so we can simply open this.
Expert to expert instructor, writing effective industry expert to expert instructor resources by IE to EI Impact Community, BSU Merlot.
Okay, so all these are 15 to 25-minute videos that go through this step-by-step for how to be an effective instructor, defining learning competencies, connecting learning, the learning objectives, how do you create a course comment, what do you do the first day of class, what is active learning, creating effective assignments. So in the Jumpstart course, we have 101, and then we've also created the next level down, and once they get through it the first time, doing a deeper dive into adult learner, and then really the last one, 103, is really how do you really optimize the success in your classroom. And this is another area when you're thinking about sustaining your programs, got to have good curriculum, but you also have to have good instructors. And when you're bringing people from outside to now become inside instructors, these resources could be useful for you as well. Okay, so I hope that one was useful. That's one of our showcases that we have there. And then I have two other things, and then I should cover that in about 5 minutes, and then we'll open up for questions. Having free access to materials, we actually created a website that brought a variety of ways to find affordable learning solutions. And if you're in the career and technical education area, what we've done is we've kind of highlighted some of these resources. So if you're looking at kind of the developmental education area, what are some math skills, reading skills, distance, working at a distance, or basic computer skills. We have these materials that are freely available. Again, here's taking a look at an online course. And here's, this was produced by Wisconsin. And here's how to use a mouse. Again, you can see, I'll continue as a guest. And so you can see I didn't have to log in. I didn't have to pay anything. I just can click on these resources, and it's loading up. And would you like to resume where you left off? I'll say no, so we can get again. Okay. again, just giving you a flavor of what are the resources that are available on Skills Commons. Okay, so we have these showcases that help highlight some things, and so if we have from, and I think this one is manufacturing. Again, these are courses that are freely available in Composite Technology as whole certificate program. Applying math, professionalism, safety, physics, composites, etc. All these, again, simply click on your preview and you're all set. All right. Now, I've probably covered lots of information, maybe a little bit too much there, so how about I'll stop and open up for questions, and let me do this. I'll stop sharing and be able to go back to the PowerPoint.
That is excellent. Thank you so much, Jerry. And just as a reminder to all of our participants, I know for some of you, WebEx has made some changes recently. It's still a little bit new. So there is the little, it looks like a speech bubble at the bottom if you're hovering over the presentation. If you click on that, that should open up in the right-hand side of your window, the chat function. And feel free to send that to all participants or to everyone so that we can all see that. If you have any questions or if you have any specific areas or topics that you would like to use this in, we can have Jerry go and find you some of those materials. If there's something specific you want to look for, we can kind of take a few minutes and do that so you can find something that you can use right away when you get off this webinar. So let us know that, and let us know if you have any questions. I don't see any right now, so I'm going to turn it back over to you, Jerry.
Okay. And maybe just to get a little practice making sure everyone can use the chat, if you don't mind, Clay, thank you so much for your comment there. Were there other things that you would like to know about, questions that you have? Feel free to put that in the chat too as well. And we'll just keep on paying attention to that, and I'll be happy to respond to you quickly. And one of the questions that sometimes people ask is, who is it for? And as you can see, it's a free and open resource, and that you can use, your educational institutions can use. If you have partnerships with your local industry areas, they can use that. And often, if you're in Kentucky, Clay, that you have there, you can actually search for materials that were produced by your community colleges in Kentucky. So there might be a particular connections that you can make to find those resources that are designed for the workforce in your area. So those are things that are going to be really useful for you. And if you want to find those materials that might be related to an institution that was funded by TAACCCT, as you can see, we have all those institutions listed here. And if I want to look in Kentucky, let's see. These are, it's by, first of all, actually, so what I can do is, let me just do this. Let me just type in Kentucky and see if I can. All right. So here are some materials produced by Western Kentucky Community College, Southeast. So these are materials that might be related to your particular area. So coming back again to how you can use these materials, sometimes your people in your local industry is looking to develop these materials. You may have a conversation with them as to what's the skill sets that they want coming in. They might also help look for the materials that might be just right for you incorporating into your curriculum that are the skill sets that will lead to the employment of your students. That's really the rationale behind the Ohio Manufacturing Association, that we built these resources for the businesses, and now the community colleges know what's important for the businesses, and then they can have free access to these materials in their own programs.
And Jerry, we did have a question come in also asking about resources for creating project-based learning opportunities.
Great. Okay. And
that question was from Michael Flores. Okay.
So let's do this. Let me go back to sharing screen, okay. All right. So project-based learning. I think one of the important elements of project-based learning is that the students basically have to define the project, which is often what's the question that they want to answer, what's the goal that they have in achieving the project, what's the outcome that they want to produce. And if you have curriculum that is just you turn the page in a book, the project isn't how do I get to the end of the book. That's not going to be a really engaging process. So some of the things that you may want to look for is the type of material that would help you and help a student really execute a project. And when you're looking for those type of things, what I would suggest is that, so here are the types of materials that you can engage for project-based learning. Now, so for example, drill and practice would not be the best thing if you want project-based learning, but what you may want to look for are things that are, pull them out, are simulations. So simulations are where students can set up the initial conditions, test an idea, and see how it works so they can begin to create a project there. So you can say, oh, if I'm doing project-based learning, I want to find simulations. And again, so what you're able to do is to filter out all these materials that are just of the simulation type, and then you can say, oh, would I want it to be related to healthcare and social assistance? I'm just kind of making this, taking a gander here. And so here's a simulation for a beta lactamase test, right? And so I can download this material that probably is guidelines for some sort of a way to conduct this procedure. Okay, so hopefully this gives you an example of how you can find materials that are related to the pedagogy that you're looking for. Okay, so let me stop sharing again and see if did that answer your question? And if you want to just put that in, your answer in the chat.
He's also written in the Q&A for the new CTE teachers, the IE2EI courses are perfect because the educators need to learn how to manage classrooms, and they're rookies at developing the project-based learning based on established educational pedagogy. So thanks again.
You're most welcome, and I think there's a variety. Let me just show you how to. We have multiple ways to get access to the resources that we've created here. So what I'm showing you right now is something called the Connect Center. So how can you get connected with the resources that are available within Skills Commons beyond just the library of content that you walk in? So we've created communities of people we call them impact communities because we want people to get together and be actually do something. And here is the first one we created was around storytelling. And I think this is something that in sustaining your programs, you have to get support by people who have funding, who have the political will and emphasis to enable you to, and I realize I got to share my screen because now I'm just talking to, all right, so let me go back. And thanks, Evan, for reminding me to do this. So let me go back again to the home page again. So we have a Connect Center from the home page. You can just click there. We also have it in the top navigation bar. So, so this helps you connect with the communities. And when we have impact communities, this is now where you have, again, storytelling. So, for example, if you know you've had your YCC grants, and now you might have a nice report, but how do you actually tell your story? And so what we've put together here is a little guideline around how you can join this community and figure out how to tell your story. We can provide some advice. Okay, just want to go back. We have examples of storytelling, and then learn how to be effective in telling your story. Here are some a video about what are the basic elements of telling a compelling and inspiring story. And we also have a little form that you can use to help guide you in your storytelling process. Okay, because I think these are things that are helpful for you. We have tools, podcasts, etc. All right, let me just go back to the Jumpstart Your Instruction 1-2, the IE to EI. All right, so we have, here's your Jumpstart, and so you could just click on that, and here is the group, how we've worked together. Here's some background stories from instructors that had went through becoming instructors without doing these, and then here are the course materials. So I just wanted to show you how you can get to all these materials. Again, through your Connect Center, you can find a lot of these materials available. Yeah, so let me stop there and just see if there are other questions that people have too as well. Let me just see.
Not a question, but I think, thanks, Jerry, for sharing that. I think that brings up a great point about sustainability. As we all know, the Youth Career Connect grants are coming to, some have already ended and are coming to an end, within the next years for those who have extensions of different time lengths. So having these free resources, having the resources to learn how to tell your story, and I know we've talked about that before and done some other technical assistance on storytelling and sharing your impact in the community, and what a great resource that can be, especially when you do it really well. So I think it's great to point out those resources to help share your story, so people are not only aware of your program and what you've done and been doing and will continue to do, but that helps with the funding and reaching out and getting partners and employers to also be interested and putting into your programs as well. So thanks for sharing that.
Okay. No problem. And if you have questions, I've covered a lot of information, and these slides I'm just going through. What are the other, and I think I showed you some of these already, that there's ways to partner with industry. Here's the OMA portal I showed you already, what's in the library. We have people who are doing the peer review of these things. There's stuff on apprenticeships. If that's interesting, I can talk a little bit about that. But the message really is around you're not alone. Even though you might feel like this person, you're trying to change the world in your local community, within your schools, but realize by being connected with Skills Commons, these resources, the people who are involved with this, we are here to help you be successful. We have also we have online communities where you can find other people where you can ask them questions. So that's just another resource that we have here within the Skills Commons. It's just not the library, but we have a librarian who can help you find stuff, and we have a community of people who can guide you and recommend the good stuff. So Angela, I'll stop there. If there's other questions, I'll be happy to answer them. And let me know if you want me to show stuff about apprenticeship programs, what we have available that might be helpful for your YCC folks, to how do you design good apprenticeship programs and how do you find resources for apprenticeship programs. I'm happy to show that too.
Okay, great. Does anyone else have any other questions? Let us know. I'm not seeing anything in here. Or let us know, do you want to see the resources on apprenticeship? I know we've done some other webinars and information that we've shared about apprenticeship, as that's kind of a something that is very interesting, I guess, or it's being shared as one of the this administration's I guess goals is to have more apprenticeships and what those look like. So if you want to see some of that or let us know, we can go through that, or you can take the time on your own to go through that later. So I'm not seeing any other questions. So I think we can go ahead then and start to wrap up. As we do, again, we want to thank everyone for joining us, and we do ask that you please fill out the evaluation at the end of the webinar to help us know what we're doing so we can do it better and provide the information to you and technical assistance to you all so you can be successful in your grants. Thank you, Jerry, so much for sharing all of this information. And as he said earlier, even though, and Evan said as well, the TAACCCT grants are ending and the cooperative agreement is ending, this information is not going away. Skills Commons is still going to be there, so this free curriculum, free resources, free materials will still be there even after the end of this year when those grants and the cooperative agreement do end. So don't worry, it's not going anywhere. And
okay.
I guess I'm going to turn it back over to you, Jerry, to kind of, if there's anything in closing you want to share, and or Evan, if there's anything in closing you wanted to share on this topic.
All right. I see a message in the chat from Evan that said, wait, they said they would like to run through the apprenticeship showcase.
Jerry, so I'm seeing in the Q&A, it looks like Ellen Gomez and Diana Bailey are asking to see a bit more in the apprenticeship showcase.
Okay.
So if you have a few minutes just to give a bit more information on the apprenticeship resources.
Nope, no problem, no problem. Okay, so let's start at the home page so kind of have the trail. So again, showcases on the navigation bar, and you can also click here. And as Angela said, the current administration has a high priority on apprenticeships. So we started organizing materials that have been developed in the TAACCCT program that focuses in on apprenticeships. So this group of materials is around how do you really design apprenticeship programs effectively. All right, and so if you want something in healthcare, and I'm just clicking on the resources here. Montana just did a marvelous job on implementing healthcare apprenticeships. You're in rural areas. You find people often don't want to move to these rural areas. So what becomes a critical element is how do you develop the talents of people who want to live in those areas to move into healthcare, right? And so apprenticeship programs where you are earning money while you are learning your skill becomes an important element. And so these apprenticeship programs, we put together some video. You can look at their website. They've done webinars. There's press releases. It really can provide you a lot of information about how they set up their apprenticeship program. And if you click on how do you get the free open education resources? So here's the Montana Healthcare Project. And if you want to get at the program support materials, how do they design it? You can just click on that. And so here's evaluations, the implementation toolkit. Really cool thing. Program support materials around nursing. Again, these are things about how do you set up your apprenticeship program. And the TAACCCT program funded these things and enabled, and we've kind of put them in the library. The other side of the apprenticeship program is where do you get resources to support people to implement an apprenticeship program. Okay, and so let me just, how about HVAC? I'll just pull this up. So as you start an apprenticeship program, one of the things that you want to communicate is, well, why would I want to go into HVAC? What's the salary? What's the economic outlook? So what we did is we organized some materials that are freely available on the web, Career One Stop, and so here's information about that occupation. And it says, well, it looks like the job opportunities are very likely. You look at what's the median salary, $47,000, and so someone can say, well, why would I want to apprentice in HVAC? Well, there's a good salary and the employment looks bright. Okay, so now this is information that your instructor, that your career counselors, even your industry folks may not have this level of detail, but this can be part of the information that can become part of what you give your students in an apprenticeship process. Okay, you can also find where are the registered apprenticeship programs. Okay, we've highlighted guidelines for designing effective ones in HVAC, and then we also have what could be curriculum that you may want to include in an apprenticeship program. And I'm just picking one, schematic reading course materials, right? So here is syllabus on how do you read a schematic, and these are for probably different components of those courses. Here's the actual course material that you can download for all these resources, and I'll just click on one. Okay, so this is one of their courses. Okay. So here's the course syllabus, specific for whatever that individual. I'm looking for refrigeration equipment, course topics that become important here for you. Okay, so hopefully you have a sense of these are resources that can help you if you're setting up an apprenticeship program that you can rely on. Here's a whole certificate program, just playing around here. Syllabi for steps 1, 2, 3, phases 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let me stop there before I ramble on even more. But hopefully you can get a sense of, depending upon what the areas are, that we have resources that can help support your planning and implementing your apprenticeship programs. Okay.
All right, thank you and thank you everyone for keeping me honest. I did ask you and then I didn't see your response, so I'm glad we got to go through the apprenticeship showcase. I don't see any further questions, I think, for real this time. So I think we can wrap up, and we're about at time anyway. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. If you have further questions, feel free to send those to the YCC mailbox. We'll make sure that we either get you the answer or we get you in touch with Jerry so you can get the answer. If need be, we'll make sure we pass that along and we can share his information as well. Obviously, the website, we've given you that. So please feel free to look into it. And if you're having any troubles or you're not able to find something, let us know so we can help you find the materials that you're looking for. So I guess in closing, Evan, is there anything that you would like to kind of share or say to close the webinar to the group?
No, I just want to say thank you all for coming. And Jerry, actually, is the support@skillscommons.org email address still one that they should be contacting?
Yep.
Okay.
No problem. support@skillscommons.org. Yep.
Okay, I'll type that into the chat. So if you want to, 1 minute. So if you're in the call, if you want to get in touch with Skills Commons directly, you can just email them at support@skillscommons.org.
All right, thanks, Evan. And Jerry, any kind of final thoughts for closing?
Well, just enjoy, be creative, use these things to support your needs. As I said earlier, my job is to give a gift and not a burden. And I hope that think of Skills Commons as your public library where you can get the gift of knowledge that you can give to others.
Okay,
that
thank
is
you.
a wonderful thought. Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
I think we will close on that.
So
thanks, everyone, for joining us. And we will be talking to you all soon. So thanks, and have a great rest of your week.